Welcome to Reflections on the Masculine Journey with Raith. I'm Raith, and this is where we talk about wisdom, discipline, purpose, honor, and becoming the kind of man life requires. This is Masculine Journey Reflections number 5, and today's topic is truth, honor, and integrity. In the last episode, we talked about discipline before emotion. We talked about how emotion is not the enemy, but emotion must not become the master. Emotion gives information. Discipline chooses action. Today we are going deeper into the foundation of a man's code. Because if a man's code is his frame statement, then truth, honor, and integrity are the pillars that hold that frame together. Without truth, a man becomes divided. Without honor, a man becomes unreliable. Without integrity, a man becomes two different people, one in public and one in private. And when a man becomes divided inside himself, eventually his life begins to show the cracks. So today I want to talk about what these words really mean, why they matter, and how a man can begin living them in practical ways. Because truth, honor, and integrity are not old-fashioned words. They are masculine survival tools. They are the inner structure of a man who wants to stand straight in a world that constantly invites him to compromise. Truth is where manhood begins. Truth is where manhood begins, not comfort, not image, not excuses, not reputation. Truth. A man cannot build a strong life on lies. He cannot build a strong marriage on lies. He cannot build strong character on lies. He cannot build a strong body, mind, or mission while lying to himself about his habits. The first truth a man must face is not always the truth about the world. It is the truth about himself. Where am I weak? Where am I undisciplined? Where am I afraid? Where am I making excuses? Where am I blaming others for work I refuse to do? Where am I pretending to be better than I am? Where have I violated my own standards? Those are hard questions, but they are necessary. A man who refuses truth cannot correct course. He can only defend the lie. And many men spend years defending a version of themselves that is not actually real. They defend their ego. They defend their anger. They defend their habits. They defend their failures. They defend their comfort. They defend their excuses. But defense is not growth. Growth begins when a man can look at himself and say, "This is the truth. I may not like it, but I will face it." That moment is powerful. Because once a man tells the truth, he regains the ability to act. Self-deception is the enemy. One of the greatest enemies of manhood is self-deception. Self-deception is dangerous because it allows a man to feel right while living wrong. He tells himself he is disciplined, but his habits say otherwise. He tells himself he is loyal, but he betrays people in small ways. He tells himself he is strong, but he avoids responsibility. He tells himself he is honest, but he lies when the truth becomes uncomfortable. He tells himself he is honorable, but he cuts corners when no one is watching. Self-deception protects the ego while weakening the man. That is why truth must become a discipline. Truth is not just something a man says. Truth is something a man practices. He practices it in how he speaks. He practices it in how he evaluates himself. He practices it in how he handles correction. He practices it in how he admits fault. He practices it in how he looks at his life without flinching. A man who can tell himself the truth can be rebuilt. A man who cannot tell himself the truth will keep repeating the same pattern and calling it bad luck, unfairness, or someone else's fault. But the masculine journey requires ownership, and ownership requires truth. Honor is the weight of your name. Now let's talk about honor. Honor is the weight of your name. It is what people come to expect from you because of how you live. Can your word be trusted? Can your conduct be respected? Can your family rely on you? Can your friends depend on you? Can your children look at you and see a standard? Can you look at yourself and feel aligned? Honor is not about pretending to be perfect. A man of honor can make mistakes. He can fail. He can fall short. But he does not make peace with dishonor. He corrects. He repairs. He owns what he did. He returns to the standard. That is what separates an honorable man from a man who only cares about image. Image asks, "How do I look?" Honor asks, "Who am I when it matters?" Image asks, "Can I get away with it?" Honor asks, "Will this weaken my name?" Image asks, what will people think? Honor asks, what is right? A man of honor understands that his name is not just a label. His name carries evidence. Every promise kept adds weight to it. Every lie weakens it. Every act of courage strengthens it. Every betrayal stains it. Every disciplined action builds it. Every excuse erodes it. That is why honor matters. A man should want his name to mean something, not because he is arrogant, but because his name represents his character. Honor under pressure. Honor is easy to admire when it costs nothing, but honor becomes real under pressure. It becomes real when lying would protect your pride. It becomes real when betrayal would benefit you. It becomes real when disrespect tempts you to become cruel. It becomes real when fear tells you to remain silent. It becomes real when temptation says no one will know. That last one matters. No one will know has destroyed many men. But a man of honor answers, I will know, and that is enough. Because a man has to live with himself. He has to carry the memory of his choices. He has to face the private knowledge of what he did, what he allowed, what he excused, and what he became. A man who repeatedly violates honor loses trust in himself. He may still perform confidence. He may still look successful. He may still impress people from a distance. But inside, he knows where he is compromised. And when a man knows he is compromised too often, his frame weakens. He becomes easier to manipulate, easier to shame, easier to control, easier to move off center. Honor protects a man from that. It gives him a clean place to stand. Integrity means wholeness. Integrity comes from the idea of wholeness. A man of integrity is not split into pieces. He is not one man in public and another man in private. He is not one man at work and another man at home. He is not one man when people are watching and another man when no one can see. Integrity means alignment. Your values, words, and actions are moving in the same direction. That is powerful because many men suffer from internal division. They say one thing and live another. They present strength but hide weakness. They speak about discipline but live in disorder. They claim honor but practice deception. They want respect but do not behave respectably. That division creates tension. It drains energy. It creates shame. It causes a man to manage appearances instead of building character. Integrity frees a man from that. When a man lives with integrity, he does not have to remember which version of himself he presented to which person. He does not have to manage lies. He does not have to hide as much. He can stand more openly because he is working to become whole. Again, this does not mean perfection. Integrity does not mean you never fail. It means when you fail, you do not build a home in the failure. You return to alignment. You correct the gap between your values and your behavior. That is integrity. Truth, honor, and integrity is frame. Now let's connect this back to frame. In episode 3, we said a man's code is really a frame statement. It tells him who he is. It tells others what he stands for. It projects his values into the world through his conduct. Truth, honor, and integrity are 3 of the strongest frame statements a man can live by. Truth says, I will not be ruled by deception. Honor says, I will not sell my character. Integrity says, I will not divide myself. When a man lives this way, he projects something without needing to announce it. People begin to understand this man tells the truth. This man keeps his word. This man does not play games with his values. This man can be trusted. This man may not be perfect, but he is serious about his character. That is frame. Frame is not just posture, tone, or confidence. Frame is the structure of values beneath the surface. A man with real frame is not trying to impress everyone. He is trying to remain aligned with what he knows is right. That alignment creates strength. The cost of compromise. Every compromise has a cost. Sometimes the cost is obvious. Sometimes it is hidden. A man lies once and nothing seems to happen. He cuts a corner once and nobody notices. He betrays a principle once and he gets rewarded. He hides the truth once and the situation passes. But something does happen. He trains himself. He teaches himself that his values are negotiable. He teaches himself that comfort matters more than character. He teaches himself that his word can bend under pressure. And the next compromise becomes easier. That is the danger. Most men do not collapse in one moment. They erode. Little by little, decision by decision, excuse by excuse, lie by lie, avoidance by avoidance. Until one day they look at themselves and wonder how they became someone they do not respect. The good news is that the opposite is also true. Character is built the same way, decision by decision, truth by truth, promise by promise, correction by correction, disciplined act by disciplined act. A man becomes honorable the same way he becomes dishonorable, through repeated choices. That means he can start rebuilding today. Integrity in relationships. Truth, honor, and integrity are not abstract ideas. They show up most clearly in relationships. A man's family feels whether he is honest. His wife or partner feels whether he is present. His children feel whether his words and actions match. His friends feel whether he is loyal. His coworkers feel whether he can be trusted. A man cannot hide his lack of integrity forever. Eventually, patterns reveal the truth. Does he keep his promises? Does he tell the truth when it is uncomfortable? Does he apologize when he is wrong? Does he correct behavior or only explain it? Does he protect those who trust him? Does he speak with respect? Does he act the same when people are not useful to him? That last one matters. How a man treats people who cannot benefit him says a lot about his character. Integrity is not selective. Honor is not selective. Truth is not selective. A man does not get to be honorable only when it is easy. He does not get to be truthful only when it benefits him. He does not get to have integrity only when people are watching. The masculine journey requires consistency. Rebuilding after failure. Now, some men listening may feel the weight of this because they know they have failed. They have lied, they have compromised, they have broken trust, they have acted without honor, they have lived divided. So, the question becomes, can a man rebuild truth, honor, and integrity? Yes, but he must stop pretending. The first step is confession to self, not dramatic public confession, not performance, but honest recognition. I violated my standard. I lied. I avoided responsibility. I betrayed trust. I acted beneath the man I claimed to be. That honesty hurts, but it opens the door to repair. The second step is ownership. A man must stop explaining everything away. Explanations may provide context, but they do not erase responsibility. The third step is correction. What must change? What habit must end? What truth must be spoken? What apology must be made? What boundary must be established? What discipline must be rebuilt? The fourth step is consistency over time. Trust is not rebuilt by one speech. Character is not rebuilt by one emotional moment. A man rebuilds by repeated evidence, day after day, choice after choice. He becomes trustworthy again by being trustworthy repeatedly. That is how integrity returns, not through words alone, through proof, practical exercise. Before we close, I want to give you a practical exercise. Take out a notebook and write these 3 words: truth, honor, integrity. Under truth, answer this: where do I need to tell myself the truth? Under honor, answer this: what action would strengthen the weight of my name? Under integrity, answer this: where are my values and actions out of alignment? Do not rush these questions. Sit with them. Be honest. Then choose one correction for this week, one truth you will face, one promise you will keep, one behavior you will align, one apology you will make, one habit you will stop excusing, one act of honor you will perform even if nobody sees it. This is how a man builds, not through slogans, through daily alignment. This has been Masculine Journey Reflections number 5, Truth, Honor, and Integrity. I'm Raith, and this is Reflections on the Masculine Journey with Raith. Today we talked about truth as the foundation, honor as the weight of your name, and integrity as the wholeness of a man whose values, words, and actions align. These are not just virtues, they are frame statements. Truth says, I will not be ruled by deception. Honor says, I will not sell my character. Integrity says, I will not divide myself. If this message speaks to you, subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast, and share this episode with another man who is trying to build himself with purpose. Leave a comment with this answer. Which one do men need to rebuild most today? Truth, honor, or integrity? In the next episode, we will continue the journey by discussing purpose gives a man direction. Until then, remember, a man's life is built or broken by what he repeatedly chooses. Tell the truth, protect your honor, live with integrity, and keep building the man life requires. Become the man that is the standard. I'll see you next time on Reflections on the Masculine Journey with Raith.